According to psychologists, people with higher intelligence are significantly more likely to report feelings of social isolation and disconnection than the average person. At first, that sounds strange. After all, intelligence is usually seen as an advantage. People assume that if you're smart, life should be easier. You should fit in better, understand people better, navigate the world more successfully. But here's what nobody talks about. Many highly intelligent people spend years feeling like outsiders. Not because they think they're better than everyone else. Not because they dislike people. But because they often experience the world differently. You've probably noticed it yourself. You walk into a room and somehow feel disconnected from conversations everyone else seems to enjoy. You find yourself questioning things most people accept without thinking. You crave deeper discussions, yet constantly encounter small talk. You feel misunderstood even when surrounded by people who care about you. And over time, a strange question begins to emerge. Why do I feel so different? Most people assume the answer is insecurity. Psychology suggests something far more fascinating. What if feeling out of place isn't a sign that something is wrong with you? What if it's actually a side effect of how your mind processes reality? And what if the very thing that makes you feel disconnected is also the source of your greatest strengths? Stay with me, because the answer may completely change how you see yourself. If you've ever experienced this, let me know in the comments below. I'm curious how many people relate to this. You weren't born feeling out of place. There was a time when you simply observed the world with curiosity. But somewhere along the way, many highly intelligent people begin noticing things others overlook. As children, they often ask more questions. They notice contradictions. They challenge assumptions. They become fascinated by ideas that don't interest their peers. At first, this curiosity seems harmless. But social environments reward belonging. And belonging often requires similarity. The child who constantly asks why may be seen as difficult. The teenager who thinks differently may feel misunderstood. The young adult who questions social norms may feel disconnected from the crowd. Over time, a subtle message begins forming. Maybe I don't fit here. This isn't always caused by rejection. Sometimes it's simply the experience of perceiving more complexity than those around you. You start realizing that the conversations people enjoy often feel shallow. The goals people chase don't always make sense to you. The answers that satisfy others leave you with even more questions. And without realizing it, you begin carrying a quiet sense of separation. But the real reason this happens goes much deeper than most people realize. Psychologists call this heightened cognitive complexity. People with higher intelligence often process larger amounts of information simultaneously. They see multiple perspectives. They recognize patterns. They identify hidden connections. And this creates an unexpected challenge. While many people seek certainty, highly intelligent individuals often see ambiguity. Where others see simple answers, they see layers. Where others see black and white, they see shades of gray. Carl Jung believed that the process of becoming psychologically mature often requires separating from collective thinking. In other words, growth sometimes creates temporary isolation. Researchers have also found that highly intelligent individuals often experience stronger introspection. They spend more time analyzing their thoughts, behaviors, emotions, and experiences. This self-awareness can be a gift. But it can also make everyday social interactions feel exhausting. Your brain is constantly processing information beneath the surface. You notice inconsistencies. You sense emotional undercurrents. You analyze motivations. And while others are enjoying the moment, your mind may already be 3 layers deeper. Interestingly, some studies have suggested that highly intelligent people often gain less happiness from frequent social interaction than average. Not because they dislike people, but because their minds are heavily engaged with ideas, creativity, problem-solving, and reflection. But this is where things get interesting. If this is making sense so far, take a second to subscribe. Videos like this are designed to help you understand yourself on a deeper level. Most people believe feeling out of place is a weakness. But the truth is often the opposite. What if your discomfort isn't evidence that you're broken? What if it's evidence that you've outgrown environments that no longer challenge your mind? Think about it. A person who sees more possibilities naturally struggles with limitations. A person who thinks deeply naturally struggles with superficiality. A person who values authenticity naturally struggles in environments built around appearances. The very qualities that make intelligent people feel disconnected are often the same qualities that drive innovation, creativity, wisdom, and personal growth. Many history-changing thinkers experienced this exact feeling. They questioned norms. They challenged accepted beliefs. They felt different long before the world understood their ideas. The problem isn't always intelligence itself. The problem is often being surrounded by people who don't share your level of curiosity. Imagine trying to discuss the stars while everyone else is discussing the weather. There's nothing wrong with either conversation. But one leaves you feeling energized while the other leaves you feeling empty. This realization changes everything. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "Am I in the right environment?" That single shift can transform your entire life. Here's how you know this may apply to you. The first sign is that you often feel lonely even when you're surrounded by people. This happens because your need for meaningful connection is stronger than your need for constant interaction. The second sign is that you spend a lot of time thinking. Not just about problems, about life, meaning, relationships, and the future. Your mind naturally seeks depth. Another clue is that small talk drains you. You can do it, but you rarely enjoy it. You crave conversations that explore ideas, emotions, and possibilities. The fourth sign is that you've frequently felt misunderstood. People may understand your words, but not the deeper thoughts behind them. And finally, you often feel like an observer. Even in social settings, part of you is watching, analyzing, and trying to understand what is happening beneath the surface. These patterns don't prove intelligence by themselves, but together, they often reveal a mind that experiences reality differently from the norm. Which of these signs describes you best? Leave a comment below. I read every single one, and I'd love to hear your experience. Maybe this was never a weakness. Maybe you've been looking at yourself through the wrong lens. For years, you may have interpreted your difference as a flaw, something to hide, something to fix, something to overcome. But perhaps your discomfort has been pointing toward something important. Perhaps it has been guiding you toward greater self-awareness, toward more meaningful relationships, toward environments where your curiosity can thrive. Psychological growth often begins when we stop trying to force ourselves into places that don't fit. The goal isn't to become more like everyone else. The goal is to understand who you truly are. Because the moment you stop fighting your nature, you begin discovering your purpose. And purpose has a remarkable way of replacing loneliness with meaning. One of the most powerful findings in psychology is that authenticity is strongly connected to well-being. People become happier not when they fit in everywhere, but when they find places where they genuinely belong. So if you've spent years feeling different, don't rush to judge yourself. Your mind may simply be operating on a different frequency. The world needs people who question assumptions, people who think deeply, people who seek truth beneath appearances, people who refuse to accept simple answers to complex questions. You may feel out of place sometimes, but that doesn't mean you're lost. It may mean you're searching for something deeper, something more real, something more meaningful. And perhaps the greatest mistake would be confusing temporary isolation with permanent loneliness. Because somewhere out there are people who think the way you think, who ask the same questions, who crave the same depth. And when you find them, you'll realize something important. You were never truly alone. You were simply waiting to be understood. If this video spoke to you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And remember, being different isn't proof that you don't belong. It may be proof that you're meant to see the world in a way others cannot.